I think that that's part of what like makes this fun for us. It's like Tay will bring up something, and then like I didn't know that I felt strongly about that thing until Tay said it, and then Cracker with your little contrarian ass. A lot of the time you'll be like, actually, I don't think that that's that bad. And like you take gasoline and then you throw a Molotov cocktail into an angry little man.
The order's wrong. Tay will bring something up. I will say something about that, and then you'll explode off of it.
That's true. That's true.
That's exactly how it works. Hey, welcome back to the HeadKanon Podcast. This is episode 149. If you're new here, we have a new episode every Wednesday for you guys. And if you guys want to follow us, support the show, all links are down below. I'm one of your hosts, Jordan. Over there is Tay.
Oh, hey.
God, get that energy up, God. And then over here is Bryan. I don't know which way to point because I don't know which way I'm placed.
It doesn't matter.
Like, how are you going to place me?
Yeah, you can just point to a spot and I'll put you in that spot.
Okay, you just... All right. Well, and then over here in the middle is Bryan.
Yep.
All right. If you're new here, like I said, we have a new episode every Wednesday. Yeah, guys, how are you doing? Let's just before we get into the main topic, we're gonna be talking about how to start a podcast. But what have you guys been up to, Tay? Bryan?
I've been really busy this week. I've been sat in front of my computer for like the last 4 days just editing. I went to a convention in Alabama and I was editing down the footage for that. And I think I made a pretty killer video.
Did you want to kill yourself yet over listen to the same song over and over and over?
I did. I actually hate the video. By the time that I was done with the video, I hated it.
Yeah.
When I make edits, I get sick of the song.
Yeah, good. It's such a nightmare.
That's because when you were editing it the other night, I'm like, dude, just wait. You're going to hate that fucking song.
Oh, dude. I know. And the thing is that, like, that's my job. Like, that was my job in a corporate agency for like a year and a half or a year. And it was just like I was listening to the same corporate bullshit songs, just editing people talking. And it's like, it gets to you. It gets to you.
I'd say a lot of people in that industry, like editing music and everything, probably just like classical music. Because that's probably the only thing like, well, I know I'm not going to edit a lot of classical shit. So I don't listen to music at all. It's a crazy, like music.
It's a weird job when you're like, I don't know, just when you listen, like it's hard to enjoy content when you're making content all of the time.
Yeah.
Because you just like see it. But that's all I've been doing. Did some videos for the channel today, and I've been playing a lot of Persona 3, making my way through Persona 3. It is a perfect Steam Deck game. I love handheld Persona. Shit's awesome.
Yeah, I bet that is. Yeah,
I thought you had it on Switch. Is it on Switch?
No, I have Persona 5 Royal on Switch. The Persona 3 Reload is not on Switch yet, which I don't know why. Otherwise, I would have grabbed it for the Switch. But it's pretty fucking sick. I've been making my way through that. On the Steam Deck, handheld, it's like the best way to play Persona. Because you can just set it to sleep, and you don't lose any progress. It's the best thing.
Also, just wanted a side note. Anyone noticed last week that like if I seemed really bummed out or down or something, I was really sick. I was starting to become sick during that episode. I know I had a couple people message me about it. I just want to let you guys know that I was sick. That's why I was like just staring off into the abyss.
Oh man,
I was not at my highest peak. But
that's so funny. I didn't know someone messaged you.
What's that?
I didn't know someone messaged you about it.
Yeah, they were like, you doing all right? I was like, yeah. I was just fucking.
Sorry about the camera.
Are you there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tay, what have you been up to?
Nothing.
Been in street photography, see?
That and I'm actually editing photos right now and editing videos.
What are you doing right now?
Editing photos.
Don't fucking.
Are you editing a photo on the podcast?
The show's here.
I'm listening to the podcast. I'm literally.
Yeah, what is that? The show's over here. The show's in here.
I'm literally Peter Parker.
Minimize that shit. Get over here. Yeah, your street photography is fucking killer. It's been really exciting seeing you go from like your first shot to like the last thing that you posted today.
I used that.
Awesome.
I used that zoom effect you told me yesterday.
With the 24?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's such a great fucking lens. I'm jealous. I want to get a 24 mil, but the lens that I want is like fucking $2,000.
Yeah, they're expensive. And
Yeah.
the guy I was talking to yesterday, like I noticed in the photography community, it's sometimes preferred to buy used products.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes
all the
'cause
time.
it's cheaper. Yeah.
All the time. You can
Just to make
buy you can buy really good used lenses for relatively cheap.
Cheap. Yeah.
Because people upgrade. Like all the like half the lenses that you see in the market are just people upgrading from getting a new lens and then selling that one to make up the half the cost.
Yeah,
That
that's where all the
website
money
is-
is.
What is it? I can never remember. BHP.
B&H?
That's probably honestly one of the best websites I've ever been in my life.
Dude, it's awesome.
They
It's
send
awesome.
it to you in like 2 days,
Yeah.
guaranteed or whatever.
great.
It's awesome.
You know what's
Amazon
really funny?
needs to be on their level. Like they get it.
They do. Because when you
I like
order it,
supporting
you
that
fucking want it there.
Yeah, you want it there and they do it.
Crocker, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just saying, like that's like where that's where you spend all your money on is lenses. You don't. It's not the
crazy.
camera itself. It's the fucking
The
lenses.
lenses. That's what I told you
Yeah.
yesterday that all the cool stuff comes
Yeah.
from the lens itself.
My camera was like $2,500 and my lenses were like, well, I got them cheap, but my lenses were $1,700. Normally it's like a $3,000 set. It's fucking,
Dude,
it's
I
a
have
nightmare.
my camera's body is like probably $900, but like lenses are like $1,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I want to buy. So I do like my Blackmagic is a great camera. I love that camera. It's the camera that we used to shoot the podcast for fucking ever. I want to get a smaller camera. Yeah, it was that camera that I always used to bring with me back to the studio.
Yeah.
Phenomenal camera. It is so big. I shot that CGN video, and my arm was just like it's like a 12-pound rig when I have it on handheld because I have to have like an extra battery for it. Destroyed my arm. It fucked me up for like a week and a half. And I want to get a Sony FX3, which is like a smaller camera. I think it's like $3,000. And that's like without a lens. Without a lens, I'm probably paying like $5,000.
What's cheaper, that or getting a gym membership and just hitting some weights? You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna make that this topic, but I didn't do it.
What, gym?
The gym? Hey,
Just
photos away? Photos down? We
no,
here?
I was waiting for you guys to speak.
Okay.
I was gonna make this I was gonna make that a topic, gym, but I had to back
Gym?
that.
I
I
don't know,
realized
yeah.
that's my. It is so true. That's my personality trait now.
The gym?
I know there's Instagram. All I post is gym, Godzilla, Superman, and food.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that really is the four things that I see on your Insta.
Yeah, that's it.
Same with Crockett.
Well, I
All
mean,
I see
like, the
from
gym,
Crockett
like,
is same as
but the gym
memes.
isn't like a hobby though. It's like that. It literally has to
lifestyle.
become. It's just part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's just like just eating or sleeping. It's just part of the.
Listen,
I mean, if you think about it,
can
dude,
we
we're
be honest?
cavemen.
Can we be honest? Gym,
What?
like, if you're as into the gym as you guys are, you're like gym nerds. Like, it's
Gym rat.
the same thing as
Yeah.
being a nerd. It's like,
I
I be
literally wake up. I'm like, it's gonna be a good workout today. It's not any food anymore. It's gonna be a good workout today.
insane behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that it
Well,
works.
it's literally in our DNA to exhaust your body out like that. Like that's all cavemen used
Joe
to do
Rogan.
is fucking
That's not, yeah, that's
run
not true.
around and exert their strength to like hunt for food. Because it is like if you wasn't like an apex of like fitness, you just died. So
That's
like
not-
it's in the DNA.
That's not true at all.
That is. What do you mean that's not true?
not
That's
true at all.
That's why you're here.
No, I mean, you're here because, like, you know, people fucked and your trades happened, but, like, they were
How do you
different.
think they fucked? Why do you think they fucked each other?
What are you talking
Listen, I'm
about?
not gonna get fucking
We're
into
gonna
this right
obviously
now.
get into this.
I'm
I'll
not
go
gonna
to-
fucking get into
I'll
it.
go to war with it.
I heard
Yeah,
something
what do you
about
mean?
Apex and food and
Yeah,
what?
Crockett's saying that like it's in your DNA to get tired.
What? No,
You
that's
say
not
it's
at
in
all
your
what I'm
DNA
saying.
to
I'm
exhaust
saying
your
it's
body.
It's in your DNA to be like fit. Like it's in your DNA to
Fatigue
like
toxins?
lift, throw heavy shit, climb up stuff. It's because if you didn't do that when you're like a caveman, you were going to die. It's not like
Yeah, but we're not.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. I know
Like
what
your
you're
body,
saying.
your DNA is used to being
Yeah.
exerted out.
I'm not gonna get into this
Like,
conversation. I'm just let you two talk.
I don't disagree with you, but like there were people that did more than just like throw heavy shit and like climb around in like even the caveman days. You know what I'm saying?
What are they doing? Were they reading books? Were they making books? What?
Well, no, there were people fucking around with sticks, making like rudimentary tools. People figuring out rocks.
And what do you think they did with those sticks? They ran.
You think they
ran
gave it
with
to
them
the
for
guy
miles.
that was running? They gave it to the guy that was killing tigers.
There wasn't like engineers and scientists, dude. These were people still like hunters. They were just making sticks as they go.
That's not engineering. That's not.
I mean, they were engineering, but they were still out there like manually having to nomadically move to place.
There is a widely accepted theory that people with like ADHD and neurodivergencies were like that segmented in a DNA sort of fashion. Segmented the jobs that people were great at doing. Like people with ADHD were the people that were hunting and like going outside and foraging because they were really responsive to stimuli. And so there were people that were not those things, that were more caretakers, that stayed at home a lot more or stayed in the cave a lot more with like children and like elderly people. And that's how like the sense of community happened. We're all part of the same ecosystem. Like we weren't all like fucking
I think that's
climbing.
a little. If they were like that, it was a little bit further down. But I'm saying basic rudimentary stuff. It was like
you still see that happen in like monkeys.
But if you couldn't provide, like gather,
if you
or,
couldn't
like,
provide,
hunt,
somebody would take care of you in like our caveman
no one was
days.
taking care of you. You were dying.
Yeah. Crockett,
That's why like a lot of breeds of human got breeded out. That's why you were here today. We are the end result of like.
No, we're not the end result. We're a part of the process.
We are the end result of like.
There's going to be something like a couple $1 million
people
million years.
If you like, I guarantee there was no lazy caveman made it to this
I
day and
guarantee you,
there was no lazy fucks that made it down to this age.
$1 million saying I would bet
back
that
in the day, the survival rate was like 30, 35 years old.
Yeah, the lifespan was like 30. If you made it to 35, you were fucking ancient.
You consider ancient. Yeah.
Back in the day.
Dude, I don't even think 35. I think they made it to like 20, like 23.
What information do you have backing that statement up?
What information do you have backing up your statement?
No, what I said, what about 30
bloody
years?
science.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, bloody science. Me and like the lifespan was like 35
mine is bloody
to 40.
science too. What do you mean?
Yeah, 35. No, like the statement about like the whatever. The lifespan was 35 to 40. That's what I'm saying.
35 to 40?
35 to 40 was the average lifespan of
cavemen?
like the earlier humans. What do you mean when you say cavemen? What do you mean when you say cavemen?
What do you mean, man?
Cavemen.
What do you mean
like
when you say cavemen?
Probably the guys who were living with saber-toothed tigers and woolly mammoths.
Did you know that there's like 10 species of human in that entire time period? Did you know that?
Yeah, and they got weeded out. The ones
they didn't get weeded out.
Hunt,
they didn't get weeded out.
The ones that couldn't lift anything died. If you wasn't strong enough, you died.
That's not entirely untrue.
Life
but you're
expectancy
wrong.
was approximately 33 years old. So
Yeah.
they would live to the maximum 33.
No, that's it's an average. It's an average. There were peaks and valleys.
Paleolithic stage.
Paleolithic.
Yeah.
Listen, you're not wrong. They didn't get weeded out. Other species of humans killed
Approximately 75% of deaths were caused by infection.
Yeah, disease,
including diarrhea.
You get cut,
and dehydration and starvation.
Yeah,
that's it. Like starvation is one of the main reasons they died.
Yeah, but that's not because they weren't strong enough.
If you wasn't strong enough.
This is another.
There was definitely no fat cavemen back in the day.
Yeah, I'm just. Why am I always the one that like starts these arguments with you guys? I'm sorry.
You didn't start anything.
I'm sorry.
Counter arguing.
Stone Age people died in very poor hygiene, illness, bad nourishment, burden of labor lead to average life expectancy of 20 to 25 years old.
Yeah. There's a lot of species of humans.
In Iron Age, the adults already gotten a bit older, so it's 30 to 30. So like knights and shit in the Iron Age, like when they were building like anything with a sword, their life expectancy was 30 to 45 years old. I'm talking about spears.
What do you think? Hold on. What do you think killed the most amount of like spear cavemen?
Probably like predators.
No, it was disease. It was infection.
Or I mean like bad water probably.
Yeah, it was bad water. It was dysentery. It was a lot.
Probably starvation. They couldn't find food.
No, I mean, yeah, like resources were probably scarce because it's difficult to fight for food back in the day.
If you couldn't hunt, so they probably didn't. They didn't have agriculture, so either they were getting berries,
Yeah.
or anything, apples, anything they could pick. They wasn't growing anything, so it was just scavenging berries or shit like that, or they were hunting, and it mainly probably came from hunting like packs.
No, it's actually a lot of food sources from back in the day. It came from foraging. Like hunting was a rare. Like if you hunted a deer, it was like a rare thing to bring back. I know. I see you looking at the camera, Tay. I was like, listen, you're not wrong, but you're oversimplifying it. It wasn't. It wasn't all fucking lack of food that killed people. Anyway,
This is a good transition.
What did
though.
caveman mainly
yeah.
eat?
Folks, we've been podcasting for 3 years. I think 3 years, right?
Let me tell you, this is how you podcast right here. This is
Don't cut me off.
this is it. You
So
start
talk.
arguments.
Talked about this.
They eat a lot of flowers, apparently. So Bryan is right. They ate plants. They ate a lot of plants.
What's he laughing about?
Don't cut me off. Go on, Tay.
Folks, we did podcasting for 3 years, and I wanted to make a topic about. We have 3 years of experience of podcasting. We're not the biggest guys out there, or we're not the worst guys up there, but we have some experience. So I was in the shower. I thought about, you know what? If we can see someone down the street and they're trying to learn how to do podcasting, what would you tell them? What's the tips, the tricks? What would you do?
This is a really interesting podcast topic for me because like recently I've been kind of like delving into the analytics and like seeing like audience retention. I've been getting into the weeds of like content creation, like the steps of production, like what you should do for content creation, like what things you should focus on and stuff like that. And I've been having a lot of fun doing all of that stuff. And I'll let you answer your own question, but I think that if someone asks me like I want to start a podcast, it's like my first general advice is just like think of what you want to talk about and then just go ahead and talk about it. Like your podcast is going to suck for the like at least 15 episodes. It's going to be bad. Just get through those like first 10 or 15 episodes and then like start thinking how you can improve. That would be like the first, I think, word of advice. It's like start it, suck at it, and then get better at talking on the microphone. Because I feel like a lot of people think that podcasting is just like talking into a microphone, and then they get into the.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, they get into the microphone and they're like,
with him. Yeah.
they don't have any idea what to say. They don't have like any thought put into it. That like it's like, all right, well, I'm here. Let's fucking ramble for an hour. And like I think that's where the guy with a podcast reputation kind of.
But I mean,
comes
that's
in.
not what you just said.
What?
You said just think about something and then talk about it.
No, I mean, like, think about what you want to talk about and, like, put some thought. That, like, my second tip, like, my first tip is you just have to do it. My second tip is, like, you have to be organized about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like, I would say that'd be the main thing. Structure, whatever you're about to talk about, pick a topic, structure it out. Break it down to 4 parts, and then have 15 minutes for each part or something. And then break it out like that, like where you're not just you don't burn out on the first thing, and then you don't have anything else to talk about.
Yeah, I think that that's fair to say. I think that like the reason I say like just go ahead and do it is because people get paralyzed by all the technical stuff, and so I say like, oh yeah, just do it. Do one episode, get comfortable talking to the camera, and then get organized about your like content, like what you're saying for your content, like what are you going to be talking about. And do that because I think that the cost of barrier is really, really soft right now. Like it's really low. It's really easy to start a podcast. Like Riverside is like $15 a month, and microphones are like a dime a dozen. So it's really easy to just see if you like the process of podcasting to begin with. And I think that's where people need to start. Make 1 or 2 episodes, organize them as best as you can, and then like just make them. Even if you don't release them, just make them.
I would say like probably plan out 10 episodes. Plan out 10 episodes because one of the biggest things you'll see is like people will not make it past 2 episodes. They'll do 2 episodes, they will look at the numbers and they'll be like, no one's watching, no one cares, and then quit. And I've seen a million podcasts start like that, where they can't make it over 3 or 4 episodes. They look at the numbers and they're like, well, we're just gonna stop. Like, you plan out 10, and you actually even do it like this, like fucking make 10 episodes and then release them every week, so you at least had 10 already done, and then just don't try to get discouraged about it. Like, it takes a lot of mental willpower, because they're not going to do well right off the bat. And podcasting is so oversaturated now, where it's like it's going to be really hard unless you already had some kind of built-in fan base, and which I think a lot of podcasts get started because they already do have a built-in fan base. Yeah. Let's take H3H3 for example. They already had a huge they already had a huge audience built in, and they use podcasting as a platform to kind of just make lazy content to fund their numbers. A lot of people just do that, make podcasts just to get out easy content, because they can kind of just pick up topics, news articles, stuff like that, talk about literally nothing, but they already had that fan base built in. It is extremely hard to go off from the base ground and build up a group of people and an audience from just making a podcast out of nothing, because it's very hard to keep someone's attention span for an hour straight. So you're going to have to realize that going in. If you're building off no platform at all and no fan base at all,
it's going to be a lot of work.
It's going to be it's an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy amount of work. I was about to ask Tay what he thought, but
here, I'll answer for him. Ask me. Go ahead. I'll
hey,
be
Tay, what would you give anybody? Like, what would be the advice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Oh yeah, I'm just editing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear
Superman.
you. Yeah, what
Crockett's
you guys
making an
said
impression
about...
of you.
Oh, I didn't hear him.
Yeah.
I
What were you saying?
I know, yeah, like Jordan said, there's few people that start podcasts and do 2 episodes, 3 episodes, and just drop it. And they think you can just... It sounds simple on paper, turn on the mic and camera and talk, but it's not.
This shit's hard.
Easy.
It really is not.
It is hard. Well, at least, are we making it hard? That's the question.
Well, no, I think that the environment makes it difficult. Like, back when podcasting started, like Mark Maron built this empire of podcasting over a long period of time, but there was nobody else doing it, right? So, like, Mark Maron is one of the podcasts that's been going on for almost 15 years. And so, like, he was one of the first people using RSS feeds and, like, using the technology of a podcast. And now, like, it's so commonplace, and it's just kind of ubiquitous in society that, like, someone probably has a podcast, that it makes it a little harder to stand out, especially when, like, you got people with bigger budgets and bigger marketing budgets, like, working in the same space that you're working in. Like, you have to be either really interesting or really persistent to make it, I think, work for you.
Does already have a built-in audience.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not one of those guys with a big budget and big marketing budget and, like, a big platform prior to starting a podcast, and, like, you have to put in the work and put in the time, and then, like, we've been doing it for 3 years, and just now is I feel like we are starting to get, like, a little bit of momentum where, like, things feel good, like, people are engaging and commenting, like, the numbers on YouTube are going up a little bit. But it just takes a lot of, like, perseverance and, like, time. You have to be committed to the idea of podcasting. So, Tay, I feel like I cut you off. Did I cut you off?
No. I was just saying, like, when people ask me about people who listen to my podcast, and, like, I ask them, just find something you talk about. Like, I know a guy who loves dogs, and I found out there's a podcast about dogs, and that's something I've never thought about. But it's podcast topics about literally anything. Find your expertise,
a podcast about dogs,
something you're comfortable with, and just talk about it.
I'd come on there every week and just be like, it was a rough week.
That could be the intro. The rough cast.
Rough. It's been a rough week. Yeah, there is a podcast for everything. There is, like, something to talk about. Like, and also, like, a podcast doesn't have to be, like, an ongoing thing. Like, you can do a limited run podcast if the thing that you're really into is, like, The Office. You can make a podcast about specifically talking about episodes of The Office, and then just do that until you run out of episodes.
I think Mike Odegeek from Motiverse, they did like a what's that show, the Lovecraftian or something?
I don't know what show you're talking about, but I think I know what series of
Lovecraft
them.
Country. I know what you're talking about.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I think they did like a small podcast of that, if I'm not mistaken.
You could do like a series. I mean, like there in like when you start one, like you have to understand like what kind of podcast do you want to do. If you want to do something like an interview show where you're just doing interviews, or if you want to do something more like a series, like where you have the entire thing is revolved around one type of topic. Let's say like crime junkies. They do all their episodes around crimes or murders or something like that, and that's their theme, overarching theme.
Yeah.
Or you could do just one where it's just like, if you do have maybe like a type of audience, or you just have some type of fan base, and it's just about you and what you did that week. It's kind of like a vlog style, where you just go on an hour, 30 minutes, or whatever about your week or your day or whatever. You could do it like that. My suggestion would be like probably like the series ones is where you have just a main topic and it's all revolved around that. Probably easiest.
There's a lot, yeah, like the... What happened?
No, just the pause.
Yeah.
I ran out of breath there for a second.
I've been seeing a lot of, like, here's my first, like, kind of general piece of advice is, like, do your research and then just do it. That's, like, if you feel like you want to do a podcast, I say just create something, figure it out, and then, like, publish it. My first practical advice is pick a format. Pick something that you are passionate and talking about, and something that you're like authentically interested in. Like people can sense when like the authenticity isn't there. So if you're doing a podcast, like you're either just rambling, or you can tell that you're faking interest in that topic just to get views. Like you're gonna be inherently, I think, less interesting to other people because people can tell when you are just like not engaging with the material that you're talking about like well enough. And like starting from, especially if you're starting from scratch, that is definitely a labor of love. Like there is, like if you do, and I write it in my notes here, like if you do things that are like trend chasing or like just like talking about like the mainstream thing over and over again, and like you're not developing like a real big sense of authenticity and voice, like you're gonna burn out way quicker than if you're talking about something that you're like legitimately passionately into. Like the guy that has the dog podcast, I don't know what his numbers are, but I don't feel like he cares what his numbers are.
He hasn't started yet. He hasn't started. He's considered it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool shit. Like you have to talk about something that you're like interested in and passionate about, which is why I think we have a lot of moments in this show when I get really angry about something. It's not really anger. It's like more like passionate about like, I have this idea and I think that we should be able to like, and I think that what you're saying goes against this idea and I'm interested in the conversation and I get worked up because that's kind of like just the thing that I love. So it's easier for me to do like a general topic podcast than it might be for someone that does like a true crime podcast. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like pick something that you're authentically interested in. Don't bullshit it, and then like put the time into every episode. Do something a little bit better than your last episode, and like know that you're in for a commitment. You know, like if you want it to potentially go somewhere, like you might be doing it for 2, 3, 4 years before you actually start seeing any legitimate movement, without spending a bunch of money on like a marketing agency or something like that.
Yeah, you really never know where it goes at too. Because I was thinking, I'm not sure if it's even right to say this, but don't try to dive deep into something that's kind of oversaturated. Not stopping you to do that. You can go ahead, but it's going to be a pain in the ass to go into something like the gaming space. And there's trillions of other gaming podcasters that's doing the exact same thing as you. It's small issues. Some start the same time as you and somehow manage to surpass you. And you don't understand why. It gets very frustrating.
You're going to have to do something you'll have to do something unique and interesting if you want to join into something saturated. Like, you're going to have to bring in something very unique that people are interested in.
It's usually the podcaster, not the subject. The subject helps, but I think the podcaster makes, like every podcast I listen to with the same topic, they carry the same different energy. Yeah. And I watch, like, it's like trailer reactions. Everyone has a different reaction of that exact same trailer. and you go to each one of them for that different experience, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of it is personality. Like you are performing. Like when you sit down and have a podcast, like you are in some way performing. And I think that like you should know that. And I think that people are not going to tune into you and just like listening to you talk if they don't like you as a person, or if they don't like the dynamic as a person. I think part of the reason like we have fun with the podcast and like we enjoy doing it is because we have a fun dynamic. Like we met in college. We both were always like the most opinionated person in like the lab rooms, like talking about like the shit that we watch and the shit that we played. And I think that that's where that's born. And I feel like that's the energy that we have. Like the energy that we have is like, these are three people that could not be more different in like lived experiences, but we all know each other because of that common thread. And like, I think that that is, you know, we're talking about the same kind of oversaturated topics, but I think the dynamic that we have and like the fact that I get really passionate about something, the fact that Tay, you're kind of like laissez-faire about the whole thing. You're just kind of like, whatever, man. It's like you're laid back about it. Like you have strong feelings, but you don't care to communicate them in the same way that I do. I get very loud and passionate. Yeah.
I used to be like spontaneous with it, but now I'm not anymore. I don't care anymore.
And like,
no, you just got to hit the nerve right.
Yeah, you got to poke it
Social media
correctly.
did that.
As we start talking about fucking McDonald's chicken nuggets, it might stir something up in him.
I think
it just depends. It depends with Tay. It, like you
never know what's gonna hit.
He has a special subject and he'll will it. I'll die on any hill. Like I'll fucking fight you into the earth on anything. I don't care.
I know.
You guys were doing it like 20 minutes ago.
I don't want to say I'm a contrarian, but I will be in opposition if I need to be.
Crockett, you are nothing but a contrarian. Like 90% of the time.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, you are.
No.
Crockett.
Let me
think about every argument that we've had. Go ahead, Tay. Go ahead, Tay.
Before Helldivers 2 came out, you were questioning the hell out of this game in the text messages.
That's what a good podcaster does, right?
You were.
That's what I question things. Are you not supposed to question things?
But it's a difference, though.
I can't just accept something wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
you were.
I wasn't hating on it.
You were. No.
You were trying.
Some people
no. Hang on. Wait, let me speak here.
Yeah, okay,
I was questioning. I wasn't giving you. I wasn't saying this game sucks. I wasn't saying or anything like that. I was saying because I was questioning it. I was like, hey, heard this game was bad. Heard this game did X or this. I've heard people having bad experiences. You guys have played it or you guys are interested in it. What is your opinion on it? That's how you podcast, man. That's how you.
As
you
quote, this is what you say from text message. How's the bugs?
Okay.
I'm not talking about the monsters. That's trying to incite hate.
That's a question.
That.
I'm like, hey, is there
that.
bugs in this?
This means you're trying to be funny.
Yeah,
that's not me trying to be funny.
Game. That's the smartest Alec thing there. You don't do that.
Whoa!
You remember that like last week we were talking about. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week I was talking about like media criticism and I got really passionate about that whole thing. That falls right in line with that conversation because what you were saying, Crockett, was that like, oh, I heard this game is pay to play or like pay to win. This game is pay to win.
Yeah.
And then like you heard that from somebody and like that opinion, but that opinion wasn't like, you weren't saying like, oh, I heard that it was pay to win. I wonder if that's true. You were saying like, oh, I heard that it's pay to win. Is it really going to be that good if it's pay to win? Like
no,
there's a different energy.
I was asking.
There's a different energy, and I know exactly what Tay's talking about. I know exactly what Tay's talking about.
I was asking y'all.
Yeah, no, I know exactly.
If I genuinely thought it was pay to win and it wasn't a fun game, I wouldn't have played. I wouldn't be playing it right now.
You wasn't gonna play it anyway until I convinced you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Listen.
That was what I was asking you guys to do. I was like, please convince me.
Yeah.
Please sell me on this game.
Which is fair enough.
I was starting a conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
Is that not what you're supposed to do? Start a conversation?
No, you are. Listen, you are totally correct. You are totally correct. You didn't do anything wrong. But every time that a new game comes out,
I think it's my attitude. You guys have a problem with. You think I'm coming off
smarter
like,
than
hey.
us. You think that you're smarter than us when you say
I do not think I'm smarter
I
than
don't
y'all.
get that.
It's not smarter, but it's that like smart Alec thing that like you come up with something sassy to say. Like you say something sassy.
Are you saying I'm a sassy person? I'm a sassy Baka?
A little sassy.
He's like this.
There's something you say something sassy about it. It's just like, oh, how are the books? And I'm not talking about the monsters. That for me, like I read that and I go like, fuck you. I read that and I go, go fuck yourself.
I'm an entertainer. What can I say? I have smart quips.
Yeah. And like that's
you kept
totally
going on with the pay to win aspects too. I'm like, I told you once. No. Trust me.
Well, I hadn't played the game. I was asking about it. I was like, hey, I don't want to like. Is it pay to win?
The thing is, Crockett, and tying it back to the whole podcasting thing, is that energy brings something out of me, and brings something I think out of Tay, like a lot lesser degree, but it brings something out of us that makes us go, "What the fuck are we talking about here?" And then like we engage in and that dynamic is fun to listen to.
It's worse when he's right though.
Yeah, I never want to admit when you're right about something. By the way,
sometimes I do have like I never say something.
No,
like,
I'm not gonna gas him up. I'm gonna say what it is.
Like the whole con thing. I'm not fucking 100% sure. I'm like but that's one of the special interests.
What'd you say?
Like that is special interest. I'm like, no, I'm fucking for sure that.
The whole King Kong, is that what you said?
Damn it! That's the one I want to bring up. I don't want to gas him up. He said it in a game chat, and I ignored him. I don't want to give him his flowers. No.
That's
funny.
All
right. But like it's like, but certain things I'll never say like 100% this sucks. I always like, unless I 100% know and I played it and I'm like, no, this does suck.
You did it.
I never. Game. But I'm also like trying to stimulate a conversation. I'm like, what, like, heard this, or it's like movies too. Like I heard this movie's bad, or it's kind of like Venom. Like when I watch Venom, people are like, this movie's dog shit. It's the worst. I didn't know anything about it. I watched Venom on a whim, and I'm like, you know what? This movie is not amazing, but it's also not as bad as what people claimed it to be.
And that's what I feel about most of media. It's like most things are like not as bad as people make it out to be.
Yeah, but it's also like that's just social media in general. Like like you can't just half-heartedly say something on social media because people are going to break that down. You have to be like, this movie could be bad, or this movie seems bad. You can't use those line of words. This movie is bad. This movie does suck. It's like probably like Madam Web.
This is exactly.
Actually, no. I think what I've seen from Madam Web is probably not good. But
this is exactly what I was chatting about last week. About you spent so much fucking time questioning me about it last week, and then you said exactly what I was saying last week. It was like the conversation about like the lack of granularity. But to bring it back into podcasting, this is part of the reason why I think like we have a good dynamic. So like either you're podcasting by yourself, and you have to like find a way to inject that dynamic by yourself, or you're around a group of people that like bring an emotional reaction out of you so that the audience has an emotional reaction alongside you. Like when last week we were talking about the media criticism thing, I got 2 DMs saying like, I totally agree with everything that you're saying. That was a fucking great piece of content. Like it was a great video. Because people relate to the emotional intensity there. So I think that's like one of our strong fortes, is that like Tay doesn't have a lot that makes him react strongly. I have a lot that makes
it does internally.
Publicly, yeah. Publicly. I react very casually in most aspects of my life, but there's like 3 or 5 things that make me furious, and I'll react about them.
3 or 5.
I'm angry about a lot of things.
Most things.
Yeah, I'm angry about a lot of things. But like that
Bryan, okay, so this is how our three dynamic works. It's like Tay's a fuse. Or no, like I would say, all right, Bryan, I would say you're a gallon of gasoline.
Yeah, I'm very volatile.
You're ready to explode.
Yeah, at all times.
Tay's the fuse, right? Tay's just kind of the mid ground for it.
Yeah.
I'm the light. I will light. Like I will light Tay, and then Tay will say something, and then you'll ignite. Or vice versa. Tay will light. I'll ignite it down to you, and then you explode.
It really.
I think none of you guys actually. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
Actually, no. Wait. Tay is the light. Tay will bring in some kind of topic.
None of you guys triggered me like that, or whatever.
No, I don't think it's us that do it, but it's the things that we're talking about, right?
It's subject matter.
Like Tay.
So if we brought up like the Last Airbender.
Yeah.
What about it?
I don't have a lot to say about it, but it is.
Well, I know Tay's
like
you're on. Actually, Tay, you don't blow up that much on the podcast, but you'll blow up on Twitter a lot. You'll rant for like a whole paragraph,
Really?
actually 2 or 3 paragraphs.
Yeah,
No,
you used to do it a lot more.
I used to do a lot more. I to kind of calm it down. But regarding the Avatar thing, I'm not blowing up. I'm just tired of people pitting it on my feed. I can't get rid of it. They hate watching it and all that nonsense.
Correct.
Stuff you're complaining about, but you're watching it. Like, why do you keep doing that? That's
because they need to hate. They need to watch it so they can come to Twitter with more ammo.
I'm not complaining about the show.
It's ammo watching.
Yeah, but
complaining about culture. But I think that's part of what like makes this fun for us. It's like Tay will bring up something, and then like I didn't know that I felt strongly about that thing until Tay said it, and then Cracker with your little contrarian ass. A lot of the time you'll be like, actually, I don't think that's bad. And like you take gasoline and then you throw a Molotov cocktail into an angry little man.
The order's wrong. Tay will bring something up. I will say something about that, and then you'll explode off of it.
That's true. That's
exactly how this works.
That does happen a lot.
So it's like a bomb. It's like Tay's the light, I'm the fuse, you're the bomb.
I would say with podcasting, and I don't want to be too specific. Mm-hmm. I don't know what will happen if I say certain things. But don't say stupid stuff on podcasts. Yeah. Because when I mention I do podcasts to people, it causes a stereotype of what people view podcasters. And I got to constantly tell myself I'm not that type of podcaster and all that stuff.
That's the hardest part about podcasting.
Well, also just some media literacy. People don't have don't have the
media literacy.
Speak. Yeah, when certain people are doing characters and saying dumb shit, some people can't differentiate that that's a bit and that is a character, and what they're saying is to jolt a reaction out of people, and it's not really who they really are, and they think that it's like genuinely real. And you can kind of see like this dude is taking the piss, or this person's taking the piss, and it's like, and it's just to invoke a reaction, because one weird thing is like it's because podcasting is so oversaturated that you really have to stand out, and sometimes like one way of standing out is just to invoke rage in people.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a lot of these things are like people do not see things black and white, but they'll say something black and white because you have to like maybe the way you feel about something, like your true feelings on it is like burgundy, but they have to paint it in a way where it's like it's coming off red hot.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting that.
And some people don't care about their public image, and they know it's a character, so they will just put their face out there to say it's along with this character. And then it's not really actually how they... Here's an example. Like, Andrew Tate.
Yeah. I know for a fact he doesn't believe in half the shit he says.
Exactly. But that person sticks out. But if you ever listen to what they said, it's like insane stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how is this person so successful in saying it in just irrevocable, insane shit? And it's 100%, it's a character. A lot of people... because it generates so much money that you just stick with the bit. And a lot of people, you really got to realize that this shit, half the stuff you see online is not real. But that person has so much financial security that they can say shit like that and just get away with it. A lot of these people have backup security where it's like, my actual face, I'm not getting fired from my fucking McDonald's job. So I can't say out-of-pocket shit because it's like investing. It's like people invest in like, if I have like $1 million already, I can put in $500,000 into something, make back a pretty sweet return of like $250,000, and it's not really that big of a loss for me. It's the same thing with that. They have it's so much back, but some people just don't want to put that much thought into a lot of this stuff. Like people don't have that common sense to put that much thought because it's like just bullshit. People aren't so dialed into subject matter that like, and then they eat it up though like it's real. Like some people just don't understand that this shit is not real. It's kind of frustrating because you see a lot of it, like just like low accounts on like Twitter come on there. Like you see people come onto Twitter and be like, "Yo, I can't believe this person X believes like this," and it's like it's not fucking real. And you hate that person, you hate a character, but they don't really fucking think like that. I'm just tired of people being fucking stupid. That's all. I'm sorry I have to be so like mean about it, but like it's like I don't know. It's like me watching football. Like I don't understand anything about football. I'm not sure if someone could explain.
Like he does that.
Legitimately, I think that is the angriest I've seen you in years.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Panera video. That's how laughing.
Oh, sorry.
He's going.
But
it's something I've seen for years. People don't understand. Like
They don't.
It's fake.
They don't, and
They don't comprehend that certain things are just fucking fake.
They're rage bait a lot of the times, and that goes into
rage bait. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good way of saying it. Rage bait.
And like that goes into the thing like authenticity is like really significant for longevity. It's like, you know, podcasting can be like a relatively quick way. I'm gonna read this straight off my notes because I think it's like a paragraph.
Actually, you know what? You know exactly how you guys felt about when I was saying something about Helldivers being pay to win.
Yeah.
It's exactly that's what it sounds like when I hear someone's like, "Oh, I hate this person because of X." I'm like,
correct.
That's not real though. That's not a real character. Even though they say incredibly insane stuff, that they're doing a bit.
I hate them because they're doing the bit. Is honestly like the way I feel about a lot of those people.
It's like anything like it's like Twitter pages, like, and a lot of people finally started catching on because a lot of the because Twitter is monetized now, where you base off like your tweets. If you get enough interactions with them, you'll get paid for it. So a lot of people started using bait tweets, like just saying stupid shit, like anything.
Before we lose the plot too much, as it relates to like the idea of like starting a podcast, like you're talking about like a lack of authenticity there, which is like you can get relatively famous relatively quick if you either have a great marketing or great connection, or if you start engaging in those bits in that sort of like fake authenticity that you're talking about, Crockett, where like people would pretend to care about something just to get the clicks and say some outlandish shit about media or women or whatever. Or like the podcast that Tay retweeted not so long ago that he said, as a black podcaster, black people ruin podcast. You
That's
remember
what
that
I was
tweet?
referring to, but you said
that tweet fucking killed me.
Yeah, but sometimes though, some people now if you find like a low level podcast, sometimes and they say some shit, sometimes they actually believe that shit.
Let me speak on that.
Go ahead,
don't. You
go
got
ahead.
back.
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying. Whoa.
Let me handle that situation.
Whoa, wait.
Let me handle that conversation.
Wait. It's like the fucking Punisher. Wait. No, I'm not saying that specifically, but I'm just saying certain podcasts.
Yeah.
Not in a certain way of like color or anything. Nothing like that, but I'm just saying. Sometimes you do see there are some dumb people with podcasts.
Listen,
you transitioned to Andrew Tate. It was kind of that's how I was waiting for you guys to finish.
But people like Andrew Tate, they know what they're doing. They're intelligent enough to know what they're doing.
Because some of those black podcasters, they put their foot on the ground. They say that shit from personal experience and all this stuff, and expect the entire world is that exact same way. But when that stuff happens to them. And same with whatever Andrew Tate says or whatever, people do agree with these people. That's why they're big, not because they're saying out of pocket stuff.
Yeah, a lot of these
people just.
Go ahead. Actually, I mean, the ignorance of like some people sticks out. It will definitely attract ignorant people when you say outlandish shit, and there might be like 5, but like when you're online, it sounds like 5,000.
Yeah. Well, the thing about
it's not really like that many people. And it's the majority of the audience is just hate watching.
That's okay. So interesting thing. When like what Tay is saying is true. It's just like I feel like at some point it started with like rage baiting and like saying outlandish shit, and it's to the point now where it starts to feel a little bit more genuine because the people that are doing it are people that didn't realize that it was a bit in the first place. And so like now it gets all muddled. It gets all confused in there. And like, it's hard to separate from like authenticity to like this manufactured sense of authenticity and like experiences that people are saying just to get clicks online. And like, if you are the kind of content creator that's doing that thing where you're just saying outlandish shit, to begin with, and I mentioned that tweet, not because of black people, but because what they're talking about is like something so clearly designed to get a reaction out of the viewer. I think it was about like the broke men in Atlanta like trying to date.
She wanted some fucking drink in a park, and he didn't. I don't know, but those conversations are like they think pieces. That's what the term they call them. You see a lot of people on Twitter do that, but imagine them visually. Yeah, you see a lot of podcasts like that out there now, and I can't really. I'm like 50-50 if that really is rage bait or just generally. People love talking about that stuff, and
it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both, but that comes back to my point about authenticity. If you're authentic about the shit that you're talking about, even if it's an insane thing like that, like people will come and like watch you because there's something to grab onto there, and you can get like really short-term success if you abandon that sense of authenticity, but you'll burn out quickly, and you won't be wanting to do a podcast anymore. So like the most critical piece of advice if you're starting a podcast is find something that you care about, find something that you're passionate about, and find something that you're okay with becoming your source of income if you're chasing monetization. Like I could talk about games for a living for sure, and I never get tired of it. I get tired of a lot of people having those conversations. I get tired of like a lot of the things that get said, but I like talking about media and games. So I could do that forever. And not get paid for it. And if I get paid for it, then it's fuck yeah, that's awesome. I'm getting paid for it. So like in terms of longevity, for like the practical advice of like I want to start a podcast and you're like really ready to commit, find something that you care about and find something that you can be authentic about. Otherwise,
go
ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was saying like what we're talking is what those people we're describing. They're just talking. Like they're not having a consistent topic like how we're having right now. Yeah, and that's why you see all the clips, but you don't see the podcast. Yeah, exactly. The whole podcast doesn't matter. A lot of the times, they're not even doing a legitimate podcast. A lot of the time, they're just making those clips out of context. They just record the clips and they post the clip out to get traction into the show. They see those TikTok clips with some Asian dude.
That's what I was thinking. Like some of those like TikTok ones.
Yeah, like they be so fake. Like, have you seen the new Marvel trailer?
I know those dudes. Those dudes infuriate me. I don't know. I gotta find their podcast because they're a great example.
Do they have a podcast or just a?
I don't know. I don't know. I tried looking them up. I didn't find anything like easily.
Just so fake.
Yeah, but that's the kind of people that like. In terms of longevity, are not going to stick around terribly long because they're so clearly faking their interest in that topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's stuff like that. Like find something that you care about, be passionate about it. And then like be aware that it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to not only come up with what you're talking about, but it's a lot of work and investment really to get all the equipment, get all the people together, schedule people, make creative decisions, decode your analytics. Like it is an incredible amount of work to do it in a way that can eventually lead you to monetization. And it's part luck, it's part skill. And like you're probably not going to see any like real returns immediately. Like it's going to take some time and you should be aware of that. And like, even though the cost of entry is really low right now, like you are competing with a lot of noise and a lot of people. And like, you just have to find a way to get past that. And like knowing that failing, like when you post we've posted, this is our 149th episode.
Yeah, that's why I did it. I forgot to mention we're almost at 150. So
150 is next week. Yeah, and so like during those 150 episodes, including the drunken ship days, like we have made some real stinkers. We've had some fucking stinkers and we've had some bangers. Like we got a couple of podcasts and a couple of videos that did really well. And very well by our standards. And like the idea is like failing is part of the process of content creation and doing a podcast and talking. Like you try something out and I was like, wow, that got 10 views? Shit. And then you get the other one and that goes like, oh wow, that got 300 views. What can we learn about that? And what can we learn about the 10 view episode? And then you got to be in a position where you can identify that in terms of practical advice. If you're doing something for fun, like if you're just podcasting for fun, just get in there, get your episode out, and you do that every time.
solar flare.
Did you just forget that you have the light on?
No,
Or, like you have the light and then you remember and then like flash it on?
no, we're using natural light.
Oh, that's funny. So like to Crockett's point, it's just like yeah, a lot of those people are like rage baits, and like you gotta avoid that noise because like that noise will get into your head. You'd be like, why am I not as successful as like these 10 people? What?
No, I just thought about it's irrelevant.
Okay.
It's something I thought about.
Yeah.
It's something to try to understand.
And so you we'll debrief later. And so like you run into that problem where like people that are doing really rage baity content are really successful, and then like you get in your head and you go like, why am I not as good as those guys? And then like you have to ignore that. Like if you believe in the thing that you're talking about or the product that you're putting out, you'll eventually get better at it, and you just need a little bit of persistence and make some good connections and talk to people and learn how to do it.
You gotta have dedication.
Yeah,
to it,
yeah, you gotta be committed.
You have to be dedicated. You have to be like, well, this is my new thing, or
Correct.
this is like my job, and that's kind of how you have to look at it. Scheduling, writing stuff out, taking the time out of your week to think about what you need to do, researching. Actually, researching. That's like one of the biggest things I could probably tell people is like treat it like you're writing an essay. Like that should be every episode. Is like you're writing a episode.
Yeah, you're writing a
You're
small.
a writer. And then being informative. That's probably one of those important things about a topic is you're informative or you have a entertaining personality.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that usually will blow up. Is like you're just entertaining and you can just say pull random stuff out of your ass and it just works. That's mainly like comedy podcasts, or you're informative. A lot of people like just to be educated. It's why Discovery Channel does so fucking well, or like why History Channel. It's just like people like information.
Yeah.
They like to be fed information like little babies.
You're either appealing to someone's emotions, appealing to someone's need of information, or providing like pure entertainment. And like those are 3 categories of entertainment or podcasting that you can delve all the way down into. You can have a combination of both, but it all boils down to that. It all boils down to am I interesting enough? If I'm not interesting enough, is my content interesting enough or educational enough? And if that's not the case, is it funny enough? That's honestly like kind of the way that I view podcasting. And like also like be ready to like be prepared to do content that isn't a podcast if you're chasing monetization to get people to discover your podcast. Like you have to be a social media manager. Like Tay has been doing our social media for the better part of like a year and a half. Because you just kind of have to like keep posting on social media and do all of that good shit. So it's a lot of work. Find good people to work with, I think, is my takeaway for like that portion. Good talk? No response?
Oh yeah, get up. Yeah.
Also, don't let dead air happen. That's always a bad sign. Dead air.
And if it happens, cut it out.
Cut it.
Also,
cut that.
What?
Cut that. You remember how we used to like we would cut that.
Oh yeah. I appeared on. Have you guys ever appeared on guest shows before?
I've done a couple. Yeah, people showed up on I used to have a film podcast before this, and Crockett was in it. Wait, yeah. Tay, were you in that podcast?
No, I never did it.
No, yeah. Crockett was in it. I was in a guest podcast from another film podcast that was in the UK. That was a great conversation. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I was a guest podcast. Yeah, I was a guest podcast in a UK based film podcast back in like 2018. It's called Georgecast. Yeah.
You
the one that got it on, Jordan. You had a red coat on.
Hey, can I talk to you real quick?
Yeah.
Brian, just cover your server. We're gonna have to take care of him. Tay, I need you to go down the street, get a guillotine. And we're gonna take his ass.
Red coat.
He thinks he think he a little scallywag on our podcast, huh? He think he's gonna be so sly.
I got a fucking turncoat.
He's gonna Boston massacre our fucking podcast. We gotta take his ass out.
My code's reversible, brother.
I bet it is, Benedict. I bet it reverse around, huh?
What do you call French fries? Chips.
Yeah, they call them chips.
No, you don't.
Beat his ass.
Yeah, they call them chips.
No,
Beat
what do you
his
call
fucking.
Oh, I
Crooked
call them
teeth
fries.
ass.
Yeah, I call them
Oh,
fries.
good.
Yeah, I call them fries.
Yeah.
Sometimes I slip and I say biscuits instead of cookies.
Then what do you call a
But that's
fucking
not-
biscuit?
Hmm?
If I go to a Bojangles in UK, what the hell? They're like, these are
Well,
all cookies. What the fuck?
Biscuits don't exist in the UK like that. They
Why?
call them American biscuits. That's what they call them. I think.
That pisses me
Whatever,
off.
man. I'm not defending the Brits. They're
told-
fine. They can handle it. You know, they can handle
You
themselves.
wish you were British, huh?
I learned a lot from the
Grew up
British.
watching BBC.
Yeah, I did actually. I watch a lot of game
You
show
and the
channels.
Doctor
It was
Who.
great. Yeah.
That's like the
dude.
only channel they got over there.
That's
Everything's
a
on that
boring
damn
ass show.
channel.
You know what? Yeah, that's a boring ass. The UK probably has the most boring ass stuff.
Listen,
Let's stop talking about it. Making my blood boil thinking about it. Don't worry
Jesus.
about it.
You know what? Fuck Mr. Bean.
Nah, calm down. We don't do that. He's
It's
off
like-
limits.
He's
Hey,
one of the
Kobe
good
Bag's
ones.
Like,
Yeah. See, I like you here. You the good ones.
damn.
You one of the good ones.
I know what you said wasn't racist, but
It felt like
why
it.
did that sound so
personality.
racist?
That's the point.
That was some real hate. I felt
You wanna be-
hate behind them words.
Oh, that's so
You one of the
funny.
good ones.
You one of the good ones, huh?
I feel like we're about ready to wrap this shit up.
No, I was gonna say.
Brian think he can take this podcast hostage with a fucking musket.
I
I was
fucking
gonna
will.
say was I went on a show before and it was terrible. So when you make sure
Oh
you
yeah.
invite a guest, make sure it's really well constructed.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
and
true.
be interesting enough. Don't just invite anybody.
Yeah.
People quit to join the podcasts too. Now you just say like you can't just come up here. You got to have something with what's the word like? You can't just appear here just appear here.
Yeah.
Bring some substance to it.
You gotta do. You gotta do
About
something.
video games. We're talking about video games, not
Yeah.
whatever the hell you want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Like have a philosophy behind your podcast. Like if you bring in a guest, like this is how I like message every potential guest. And we haven't had a guest in a minute. But the way that I message everybody is just like we can do two things. We can pick a topic, and then like I'll just send you what that topic is, and you can like talk about. We can talk about that, or we can talk about something that you want to talk about, something that you haven't had an opportunity to talk about in the podcast. And like, we'll familiarize myself with that, and then like we can have a topic episode, podcast episode like that. So it's all about finding the
Yeah, it's kind of like this. It's like you have an interview type show where you're interviewing a guest, where you're talking all about them for the whole episode, and that's kind of like the draw of the episode is to talk about them, and then or you have a guest episode where it's kind of like you already have a topic picked out and you're bringing on someone that might be knowledgeable on it and it'd be also as a
yeah.
like that, or like you could have like I guess like a friend episode or a friend of show type episode where it's just like they're just on
They're
with
just
you
talking.
guys.
They're just into
And
talk about
they
the
inject
thing.
a little bit of their opinion too,
Yeah.
which it could be fun.
And all of that just really comes down to like great organization. Decide what your thing is, stay focused on that thing, and then like do the due diligence of making sure that your content and then your podcast feels good to you. And like if you would listen to it, then other people are probably going to listen to it, and it'll just take some time to reach your audience. But I think it's just like be authentic. Like there's nothing worse than manufactured authenticity or like just a lack of authenticity at all. Like be authentic, learn the technicality. Like there's a lot of technical work that comes into this, especially now that video podcasting is kind of the norm. You're learning a new skill set, so have fun with that. Like learn the fuck out of it.
Yeah. What do you think we go from here? What's after podcasting? Like, you go back to radio?
We're just gonna get like neural linked like right into our fucking brains.
Probably like
mental.
retros.
God, that would-
Something
that would
like
kill
probably
those people.
writing will come back. That's how
Jesus.
trends go, right? Like they just go reverse.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
like podcast inside internal thoughts?
It's crazy. I would absolutely blow my head off. There's no way. There's no way. But yeah, Crockett, you're probably right. Like what's probably going to happen is that there's going to be like a renaissance of like audio only, and like people are going to be carrying around MP3s and downloading files instead of like streaming everything. It's probably going to happen. It's probably what's
Well,
going
it
to happen.
seems like I don't think we've hit that point where it's going to go in reverse yet. I think what next it's a short form thing. So I don't know. It's very interesting. It's because podcasting with the last maybe 2-3 years was people wanted actually longer form content.
Yeah.
So it was like going from like 10-minute, 10-minute form to actually people actually wanted longer form,
Yeah.
so like an hour long. They really wanted to exhaust out like everything out of that one person.
Yeah.
And now it kind of like TikTok, they want a shorter form again. They want it microseconds. And that's kind of like why those like podcast clips do so well, is because people just want bite-sized information. But I mean, that's also another like, it's weird because it's a great form of marketing, because you get a bite size of that. It's a little bit of a dopamine hit, and then you're willing to more. I guess it's like you don't want to invest your time into something wrong, so you're not really willing to risk an hour of your time to listen to something to realize it's dog shit. So if you hear a clip of like maybe like a minute, that's not really worth an hour. That's not an hour of your time. It's a minute, so it's not really a huge loss. Small bet. It's good. So then you're like, okay, I'm willing to listen to an hour or at least 30 minutes of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's that is so format dependent. Like in terms of like what kind of format is your show, like that. Like Joe Rogan can go for 4 hours if he wants, but he's got an established audience. You gotta catch someone's attention. So like, work within the parameters of your format. Like if if you're trying to get people's attentions, 1 hour. Keep it tight. 1 hour. 1 hour 5.
Well, with like interview shows, I think 4 hours long, you could probably do. Like you could really go.
Listen.
But that format, that whole reason why he even does that is just to really dissect somebody. Like he really understands. Like he treats them more like just like a person, and then kind of like drags them out to understand all their
we know what
opinions
happened the last time that we talked about Joe Rogan.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying this is with anybody. Anyone who has a long form podcast like that, 4 hours long, it's always like that. You're dragging out information and everything like that. So
I've been
that's
saying
like
30-minute podcast.
That, to give you an example, why a 4 hour podcast exists, it's because of that.
I have different opinions.
Like news shows, like say like you're doing anything from news beats where you're just kind of going off articles that happened during that week. Those are tight, hour long. Like you give a subject, you give a small opinion on it, and then you move on to the next subject, you give a small opinion, stuff like that. Or you can have a show like this where, and I know we're kind of say we're a video game podcast, we're more of a argue-based podcast where we have
we're an entertainment
topic
podcast.
and then we have an opposite ends type spectrum. And we kind of give it opinions, and then those opinions interact with each other. Our podcast honestly could go for 4 hours straight if we really wanted to. And actually, I might even say that by the 2 hour mark, it gets pretty goddamn interesting, but we don't really let it go that long.
Does it really?
Yeah. Well, the last couple of times, every time that we've gone over 2 hours, I'm losing it over something.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
What's the longest pod? Like 250?
Probably 2 hours.
We have one that was 2 hours and a half, but we cut it. We cut it to 2.
Tomorrow is...
Yeah. Oh, Alexa. Anyway, Crockett, do you mind sending us on?
Yeah. Guys, thank you for make it to the end of the show. We do appreciate it a lot. If you guys like this episode, give us a like. If you dislike it, give us a dislike. If you want to help the show grow or anything like that, give us a rating on audio form podcasts, or if you're watching this on YouTube or anything like that, give us a like up. If you want to get the conversation going with this podcast, share it with a friend. Meet us down in the comments. Give us your opinion on what you thought about the show. That does help a lot. So if you really want to support us, that would probably be the best way of supporting, is like commenting and everything like that. But that's it. If you guys want to follow us on any social media or talk to us personally on Discord or anything like that, links down below. Join the Discord, get a good conversation, meet some great people, and that's about it. And we'll guys see you guys next week. Okay.
Hell yeah. Take it easy.
Bye bye.
Man, big sleepy over there.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Big sweep.
Big sweep.